Bonjour, I'm Bailee Madison and you're watching FrConventions. Je t'aime. I was a huge fan of Disney. I mean, of course, just like any little kid, I mean, I grew up loving those movies and feeling at home watching them, and Snow White was one of my favorites. I think it was Snow White and Belle that were my two favorites, and so when I got that call, I cried. I was just so excited, and then came the nerves. Oh my goodness, I think Snow White sees the world in such a beautiful, pure way. I think there's like an innocence to Snow White that I can really relate to. I think that she sees the good in people and wants the best for people, and believes that even the worst kind of people can become better. And I would say that's probably a quality that I hold to a fault sometimes. Maybe I'm always like, no, there's gotta be some good in you. But I think it's her gentleness and her outlook towards the world, and she doesn't let the bad things kind of define her. I think she's constantly on a path of goodness. Of course I'm gonna watch it. I'm so excited. David and Selena and everyone are having their premiere in like a day or two, and I'm gonna be here, and so I'm gonna miss it, but I'm just so excited for them, and so happy that they've decided to bring the show back. And that show meant so much to so many people, and I feel like it's gonna be so good for this new generation, but also so special for the old generation to get to tune in and watch. I would happily go back on the show. I don't know how that would work. I think Max would have to have transformed into a girl again, but maybe I could come on as a different character, and it can be like a nod to the old fans, but something new for new people. And I would love nothing more than to get to return. That'd be an easy yes. Oh, all of it. I mean, I was so young, and it was their last season, and they were so tuned into what needed to happen and so comfortable, and I think that they could see that I was kind of deer in the headlights at some point. I had never done like a multi-cam show or worked with a live audience before, or done that sort of timing. And Selena would just super casually kind of turn me towards the right camera in the middle of the scene and help guide me. And from table reads to the rehearsals, everyone was just so kind to me. And so I think it was like live audience, like the taping days were just so cool. They would call your name out, and you'd run out and take a bow, and then you'd go home and be like, oh, that was so exciting. You get like the actual feedback from the audience, and I felt like I was just living like the perfect childhood dream in that moment. I really am. I mean, I was a small part of the Fosters' like big story, but there's two things about that show that was so special. Like, I think Bradley and Peter created a show that was so incredibly needed. And still is needed to this day, and was so groundbreaking with breaking so many of the barriers of conversations that weren't being had through media and weren't being had through shows. I think it allowed for people to be seen and feel heard and not feel so alone. And I really feel like they started the conversation in such a big way, and for that, I mean, I'm so grateful to have just been a small little part of that. And then also, like, personally, with what they did with my character meant so much to me. I mean, I didn't know where the story was going when I signed on, and then, when I spoke to them, and they do so much research, and they speak to so many people who are truly experiencing those things, and there's so much thought that's poured into telling a story, and so I just felt very protected and in the right hands, and then also wanting to portray it like as honest as I could, so that way people felt seen and felt like there was hope and light at the end of that tunnel. But yeah, it was such an honor to get to be on that set and play that role. Oh, thank you. I mean, Maya, it's easy. Maya's the most wonderful person, and she's so lovely and full of so much light. You know, we kind of had these funny moments before we would film where like people would mistake me for her all the time and her for me all the time. And so immediately when we finally met, we met before I filmed the show at this event, and we were laughing because we were like, oh my, I feel like I know you without knowing you. But she just very quickly like took me under her wing again too, same thing, and made me feel so comfortable. And I loved my time with her. I was like, can we be sisters? Please, actually. I know, people still think we actually are related. I did watch the original. I probably was a bit later to the party because I was so young, so I think I started watching it when they were already maybe 2 seasons in. I was A for Halloween one year. My Instagram, if you go way down, it was like a fan account for PLL. Every tweeting party I took part of, I was a super fan of the show and of all the girls. And I remember watching that show and watching like the behind the scenes videos and being like, one day when I'm their age, like it'd be so amazing to get to do a show like that and get to experience those work hours and that environment. And so fast forward all these years later to have been able to experience all those things, plus on the show that made me want to experience it, was so full circle and kismet and beautiful. It was definitely nerve-wracking, but then I think very quickly on, you know, we were all on the same page of we weren't trying to recreate the original, because you can't. That would be like trying to recreate, you know, something so golden. They did what they did so beautiful, and because of what they did, we were able to go and have this chance to kind of revamp it in a new light. And ours is obviously more darker and more horror slasher based, but Roberto and Lindsay did such a beautiful job. And I think that we all felt really confident in our portrayal of it, but nervous with the reception. And thankfully, with a huge sigh of relief, I can say, people embraced it and were so excited about it. And that was the most fulfilling feeling in the world, that what we were excited about and that what our crew and our cast worked so hard to create was actually embraced by people. Yeah, I mean, we were honestly really, I'll be honest, we were really surprised. We didn't, I think we prepared for it just knowing the state of the industry. Everything's really tough right now, and there's so many crews who aren't, you know, able to work, and there's not a lot of projects that are happening, and kind of the industry's in a bit of a weird standstill in a, you know, in a post-strike world. And I think that shows and fan bases are kind of getting the bad, you know, end of the deal with that, which, as much as it was sad for us, I think it was really sad for us in the sense of we know how much our viewers cared about the show. We know how well received it was. We know how much people cared for our characters and wanted to see more. And I think we felt like the viewers probably deserved better than that. But I would have loved to have seen it continue. I know Roberto and Lindsay had really great plans for a season 3, and I feel like we were cut short when there was so much potential to be had, and so it's more kind of mourning the potential of what could have been, because I think we had a lot more to say and a lot more to do, but I hold so much, you know, gratefulness towards all the people that said yes to me and allowed me to go on that experience, and you know, 2 years is better than none, so we're very grateful.